Today on the show,
we preview this week's upcoming showdown between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump.
In Massachusetts, the state Supreme Court rules that people of color may have a legitimate reason to flee from the authorities.
In Charlotte, the backlash continues in the wake of yet another shooting of a black, potentially unarmed man.
And a Northern Arizona brewery brings the sweet and sour goodness to our weekly beer lineup.
I'm David Longoria.
And I'm Victor Longoria.
This is the Political Happy Hour.
All right, hello everybody. We took some time off.
Yeah.
But now we're back.
Yeah, I mean, welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back to you.
There were some logistical things that we had to work out. And
yeah,
right?
Logistical, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big word.
And, well, you handled it with panache and grace. But no, we're back. It's good to see you again. We're hopefully going to not take 2 weeks off in the future, in the near future.
Well,
again.
we get torn a new one in one of the emails, so we'll get to that.
You know what? I did have several people, ask what was up and what's going on.
So did I.
Just so you guys know, nothing's up. We're still doing the show.
Yes.
We're still going forward.
We'll still have Joe on as a guest every
from time to time.
Yeah.
Yes. As you know, I mean, we droids sometimes make mistakes from time to time.
Oh dear.
Anyway, here's how the show works.
Okay, we picked 3 stories or topics from the past week's political news, one national, one state, one local, from all around the country, and we discuss them over some delicious, locally brewed craft beers. We do the news and drink some brews.
News and brews.
News and brews.
Indeed. So we're bringing it back home and keeping it local this week, as our featured brewery is none other than Wanderlust Brewing Company from Flagstaff in Arizona.
Oh, it sounds delicious. Okay, so we want to stress that the breweries on our show don't represent or align themselves with the opinions expressed on this show.
Correct. The breweries and beers we drink on the show are chosen by us because we believe that they are the fountains of craft glory. And if they don't like it, then they can go suck a fat one.
All right, emails? Should we get right into them?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So I got, the first one is from Noella, Noella, Noella?
Noella? Sounds about right, yeah.
The feminine version of Noel.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah,
So anyway,
sure.
Noella is from Dallas. And in the subject line she wrote, "Help," all caps, exclamation, so it's yelling.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I'm a progressive lost in a sea of red.
Indeed. Yes. Yeah, of course. Of course you are. Our condolences.
I love your show and have shared it with several friends. Thank you very much. I wish the mainstream press brought to light the issues that you guys bring up, specifically with regard to Trump's policies and lack of transparency when it comes to his taxes, his business dealings, things like that. Keep up the great work and come and visit in Dallas whenever you have time.
Very cool. Thank you, Noella. That's really nice of you to say that.
And the fact that she shares it with her friends, that's awesome.
Yes, you should do the same.
I have no friends.
No, not you. Like, I'm talking to our listening audience.
Oh.
All of you listening should do the same. Please share this
please.
This podcast with your friends. Even if you hate it. Be like, God, these assholes, I don't like what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And share it with all your, conservative friends.
Yeah, because... Yeah.
Yes.
Why not? Right.
Spread the hate.
Why not? All right. The next email is from Candace in Chapel Hill. That's in North Carolina, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Obviously, it's in North Carolina because she states, if you don't cover Charlotte this week, you're dead to me.
Whoa.
Yeah. So...
Man.
A good thing for us.
Wow, yeah.
That we're covering our second story this week, or third story.
Yeah, our local story, technically,
on Charlotte.
So. Okay, hey.
Yeah.
You win, okay?
Relax, Candace.
Yeah, you win. All right? Jeez.
Willie from Philadelphia. Willie from Philly.
Nice.
What the hell? You think you can just take time off whenever the hell you want? How about a little bit more consistently? Or perhaps a heads up that you're not going to do 2 shows you're not going to be there for 2 shows in a span. I love the show. Highlight some East Coast beers when you can. Willie.
We'll certainly get to the East Coast beers. We've got a lot of beers all around this great country, and we're going to get to all of them. Yeah. Trust me. Yeah. We will. Well, most of them.
Most of them.
Yes. Yeah. But hey, okay, look, hey.
All right, Willie. Sorry, Willie from Philly.
First of all, yes, we do think that we can take time off whenever we want to. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
But we know that as sort of the listening base of the show continues to grow a little bit, that they expect us to be a little bit more consistent.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
How about being more consistent with the Facebook page and the website?
Yeah.
Friend.
Dave, that's your job, not Victor.
Oh, man. I keep trying to, skirt all responsibility. And it's just not working.
Yeah, you tried to give it to Joe, and he gave us the finger.
Yeah, that's why Joe's not here. He's like, dude, after that show was hilarious. He was like, guys, I thought you guys just brought me on to have fun. Now you want me to do all this crap? Not cool. And then he got up and he left. He left.
Yeah, we haven't seen him since.
Awesome. Okay, well,
last email.
Yeah, please.
Camille from St. Louis. I enjoy your show, but find myself yelling at my iPhone from time to time while listening to it. Your stance on the two-party system is ridiculous. Let John, and there's a smiley wink face there.
Oh, okay.
She knew what she was doing.
Very good.
Speak his mind on Gary Johnson and Jill Stein. We need to expand to a multiple-party system.
Okay. Thank you for the email, first of all.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. We're glad to incite a little bit of reaction and response. Don't throw your iPod at anything. We don't want to be held responsible for that.
And on top of that, you look stupid when you're yelling at the iPhone and you have your headphones in and you're on a train or something or on a bus.
That's actually kind of funny.
Yeah, that is
Keep
funny.
doing that.
Yeah.
Keep yelling at your devices. Do not break them though on our account. Okay, sure. We can have a debate about the usefulness, for lack of a better word, about the two-party system in this country.
Well, she also put a link on there from the Twitter account where I sent out a short clip of Mike Barnacle talking to millennials specifically saying, hey, there's only going to be, you have one of two choices. Get your shit together. Don't waste your vote on Gary Johnson or Jill Stein. And, do your research and vote. Vote. Because if you don't, it's a throwaway vote. It's a throwaway vote. And I thought that we learned from 2000 that every vote counts.
Yes. My feelings on the two-party system versus something else. It keeps being proven that it works the best for what we have. And every time, and there are third-party candidates who emerge from time to time, usually out of some sort of activist mentality. Yeah. This year is not one of them, I don't think, because they're not making a dent in the polls. We're going to get to all this, but still, it would be great to have additional parties participate in the political process. However, there's yet to be a third party that actually makes a true significant contribution in terms of the effects,
right,
or the results, and this is yet to happen. Probably not since the progressive movement of about 100 years ago have we, ever seen such a strong movement by a third party, and I don't see it happening. So until it does, let's stick with what we got.
Right. And we're not set up for a parliamentary system where those third parties can actually come into office, because that's not the way our election system is set up. That's not the way it works.
Exactly. I don't necessarily disagree with the lack of effectiveness of the two-party system, as the emailer indicates, but I certainly...
Camille from St. Louis.
Indeed, thank you. But I don't... Until they can make a true dent in the results, I don't see how it's going to...
So, if I could paraphrase...
If they need to tilt the scales.
If I can paraphrase for David, go fuck yourself, Camille.
No, absolutely not. That is not at all what I meant to say. I just think that...
that's what I got. But carry on.
Until a third party or more parties, additional parties, can show that they can make a true impact on the outcome, then we might as well stick with what we got. Yeah. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
But thank you. Yeah. Thank you to Camille and the rest of our emailers. We really appreciate your feedback.
Willie from Philly.
Indeed.
Candace from Chapel Hill, and Noella from Dallas. We're sorry, Noella. We'll send you reinforcements.
Indeed. So please continue to send your opinions. Tell us what you think. We're at politicalhappyhour@gmail.com.
Let's drink some beers.
Yes, it's beer o'clock, and you're buying. So here we go. We got our first beer. So we're featuring beers from Wanderlust Brewing Company in Flagstaff, Arizona this week. And the first one here is a Sunnyside wheat wine. So this is like a...
That's not beer.
No, it's beer. I mean...
It's wine.
Well, wheat wine or barley wine are like... strong versions of beer.
Why don't they call them wheat beer?
It's just it's a name. It's a term of art. It's less than it is an actual. It describes the actual product.
Term of art.
Yes.
So we have to drink this with like berets on or something?
We could if you want to.
You probably do. You probably have berets somewhere in your place here.
I will not speak to that.
At least you have multiple berets in this house.
I will not speak to that. So this is their wheat wine. Like I said, it's clocks in about 9.3 ABV, so it's a little on the high side.
Yeah, let's start with something a little stronger.
Absolutely. So let's let me crack this open here.
Oh wow, it doesn't look as
doesn't look like wine.
No, it doesn't. It does not look like wine.
It's got a nice golden, little cloudy hue to it.
So, in honor of the autumn, is it equinox or is it solstice?
I believe it's the...
it's an equinox, right?
Is it autumnal equinox or is it vernal
I don't know.
Equinox? I don't know the...
Fuck science.
All right. Let's give our red friends, our friends in red areas, something to...
Hashtag fuck science. Cheers, sir.
Cheers.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Ooh, nice. It's
So is this considered like an autumn flavor, or is this snow?
Not necessarily. We're not really getting into autumn beers yet. The other one that we're going to try... Yes, absolutely. We will bust those out soon. The one that we're going to try later is actually more of a late summer style beer. But it's still almost 100 freaking degrees outside here where we broadcast from.
That's true.
So let's, we will definitely get into autumn beers later on.
It's nice, like in the evenings and stuff.
It's getting nicer. You can definitely tell the difference. This has got like a nice spice to it.
Yeah,
like
it's pretty good though.
Some like coriander and maybe a little bit of nutmeg on it. It's actually really good. It's surprisingly easy to drink
for being as strong as it is.
Yeah, it's very smooth and it's very drinkable. Very good. Thank you so much to Wanderlust. We're going to feature another beer by them later on. But let's get right into it, shall we?
Let's have our debate.
Indeed. Showdown. Finally, what we've all been looking forward to, the main event.
Yeah.
Clinton versus Trump on the big primetime stage. Person to person.
Yeah. Debate one.
Indeed.
I think this is kind of... I think it's going to be a big deal, right? I mean,
yes.
I think not only is it going to have a huge national audience, but it's going to have a huge international audience. People are tuning in to see this shit.
I believe that you're right about this. I think the stakes are very high for both parties. However, I have beef here, okay? I've been listening to a lot of the pundits.
You don't like Lester Holt?
Well, questionable, okay? Fine. First of all, and we can debate the merits of the structure of how these are being put together. It's not really a debate. I mean, ever since we've started debates in the presidential elections, dating back to 1960 and Nixon versus Kennedy, we really didn't. These aren't debates in the traditional sense. It's not. Debates don't have moderators. They're basically joint press conferences where they're being asked questions by a reporter. Just because it's one reporter versus two or many doesn't mean that it's not a press conference. That's essentially what it is. A true debate would be like the Lincoln-Douglas debates in which they actually have a dialogue.
And they wrestled, I think. Didn't they wrestle?
I don't think they wrestled. But, but fine.
Okay, all right.
That's not my beef, okay? Here's my beef. I've been listening to a lot of the punditry lately about leading up to tomorrow night and Monday night. Sorry, and I think that the bar is so uneven. It's ridiculously uneven between what sort of has to get done, what Clinton has to do versus what Trump has to do.
As long as he doesn't shit the bed, he had a great night.
So this is ridiculous.
I know, and she has to basically do like at 100%. Yeah, it has to be perfect.
Yeah,
for her to
anything less than perfect for her, and she fails.
Yeah, she's a failure.
Anything less than than making a complete ass out of himself, which, let's face it, is sort of expected anyway. So even if he does that, he doesn't fail.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous.
His campaign has already come out and said, even if you go on Breitbart.com, it says on there, one of the headlines from a few days ago was, sorry, Republicans, Trump has already lost the first debate. So they're setting the bar purposefully low for him so that if just in the event that he's able to cross that threshold, that he had a great night.
So... But my problem with this is that not only is the Republican Party doing that, and that makes sense that they're doing that, but the media is setting extremely low expectations for Trump, and that's not fair. Both of these candidates should be held to the exact same standard, and basically the standard right now is Clinton has to act as though she had got the job already, otherwise she's a complete failure,
right.
And Trump, he has to have like some sort of modicum. Of
substance.
Not only substance, just I don't know, knowledge about basic facts, or just a modicum of coherence about anything.
Yeah, shitty.
Because he gets like a pass. It's like he's never held office before. He's never been a nationwide or international leader in anything. And so therefore, any mistakes that he makes, he'll learn. Yeah. He'll learn. That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. And I wonder, I usually don't go here.
I think you do.
Okay, fine. But you know what? I wonder how much of this actually has to do with not only their ability to sort of talk about substantive issues, or the difference between the two of them in terms of the different offices that they've held. But I think that this is kind of sexist.
Here we go.
Seriously. I think that because Hillary Clinton is the first woman to ever run for the highest office in the land of a major political party, that for some stupid reason she's being held to a higher standard because for some idiotic purpose we need to make sure that women, if they're going to be president, need to be held to something higher, which is so stupid. And come on, let's face it, they sort of did the same thing to Barack Obama when he first ran in 2008.
He's not a woman.
But as a minority.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Because I thought you knew something I didn't.
No. That's obviously not what I meant. And I think that's bullshit. And why in 2016 are we talking about these kind of things? And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm overblowing it. Maybe this has nothing to do with sex or gender. Maybe it is just because everybody expects Trump to be stupid. And everybody expects Clinton to be intelligent and smart.
I don't know.
And have a grasp of the facts.
I don't know if it's sexist or not. I can't put my finger on it.
Well, no one's going to come out and say that, right?
Of course not. But, I think the standards are most certainly higher for Secretary Clinton versus Donald Trump. But is that because she's a woman, or is that because she's been a public servant for so long? My point is that the bar should not be unequal for either of those reasons. No, but you can't.
Just because Trump hasn't held office doesn't mean he shouldn't be.
No, you're right.
He should be held to the standard of the office, not about what you've done in the past. And frankly, if that was the standard, because let's say this is like a job interview. You're not going to get the job if you're not qualified to have the job. But clearly, one of these candidates is supremely qualified for the job over the other.
Right. Yeah.
So why are we not just sort of writing off Trump because he's obviously unqualified for it?
Well,
if we base it on past experience.
Well, there's not only that, but there's also just things that he has gotten away with, and that nobody's really holding his feet to the fire. His tax returns, for example, his business dealings,
his medical records.
His medical record, dude. That doctor is fucking bananas. I love that guy. He's like a holistic, like, healer, like, fucking... He's just a weird dude.
Well, there's nothing wrong with...
No, there isn't,
with
but, I mean...
that type of medicine.
Okay, well, ask Steve Jobs if that type of medicine works.
I believe it's called osteopathy. And to my DO friends out there, you guys are, very highly qualified medical professionals.
Again, ask Steve Jobs how that works out.
Dude, come on.
Too
soon?
But
yes, totally too soon. But seriously, to your point though, it's like, Hillary gets a bit of a bout of pneumonia and has difficulty.
Dude, she has Parkinson's. That's not pneumonia.
Dude, that is not cool, man. And it's like, oh my God, is she fit to be president?
I think she's a robot,
and
she's more machine now than man.
Trump purposefully, first of all, he says, oh yeah, you're going to get my medical records. I'm going to release them soon. And then, like... Nobody even talks about the fact that he completely, like, that was a lie. Like, because we didn't get anything.
No, Dr. Oz. I mean, of all people, right? The guy who's, like, pushing these diet pills that will shrink your fat, but you have to buy a bottle for $100. He's pushing it, and he was brought up in front of Congress, and they were like, "What the fuck is wrong with you, man? You're supposed to be a doctor. Why are you peddling this shit?" And then he goes on this show to say that he was going to release his medical records, and he didn't release shit. He didn't release anything.
I know.
Nothing.
And those pills, by the way, will shrink your balls, not your fat. That's what I've heard. I don't know. I don't know if that's true.
Ball shrinkage.
Yeah. But, okay, so here's the thing that I'm so sick and tired of, and I know we talk about this again and again and again, but it's really getting ridiculous. Why do we just write off the stupid shit that Trump does as Trump being Trump?
Right.
Why are we not holding him accountable? Why are we not setting the standard high? This is the highest, most powerful office in the land.
Yeah.
Clinton is being held to that standard.
Yeah.
Why isn't Trump? This is so stupid.
I know, man. I'm baffled as well. I don't understand it. I don't know why the media doesn't hold his feet to the fire with his tax returns. His fucking tax returns. He's under audit. Richard Nixon was under audit. He still released his tax returns.
Yeah, and the IRS has come out and said that just because you're being audited doesn't mean that you can't release.
Yeah. So I don't know. Here's my theory on the whole thing. You remember the movie The Candidate?
I do.
Yeah. Remember how he was just going to run to try and he never thought he was going to win. I think that Donald Trump never thought he was going to win. I think that he wants to start Trump TV. He wants to create. Where do you think he's bringing on Roger Ailes and Breitbart? He wants to create some sort of right-wing, crazy-ass thing to replace and go even further to the right than Fox News is. And he wants to benefit off that. He wants to make money.
So you think that the Trump candidacy and where we are now with it is an accident?
Yeah, he fell into this, dude.
He's just riding the wave?
Yeah, he's riding the wave, and I think like he's at some point he came to the realization like, shit, I could actually win this. You remember at the end of the movie on The Candidate when he was like, well, what the fuck do we do now after he won?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that moment could very well happen.
What a frightening scenario.
Yeah, totally, right?
Yes, because he still could win.
Yeah, he's within striking distance in Ohio, Florida, Iowa.
The latest poll numbers that came out this morning, ABC News and the Washington Post have Clinton up by 2 points. It's a statistical tie.
I know.
The only place that Clinton has... Well, I mean, Trump has leads too. So, like, for instance, by the way, the LA Times poll and the USC tracking poll have Trump ahead by 4 points. But...
With or without Gary Johnson and Jill Stein?
Without. So there's a...
Yeah, this one's for you, Camille. in St. Louis. God damn it. Because it really affects things. And I understand that millennials have legitimate gripes. I get that. But fucking look at these two candidates. One of two of these people will become the president of the United States. You're throwing your vote away if you're going to do that. If you're going to vote for that.
So ABC News and the Washington Post actually did two polls. One with Johnson and Stein and one without. And Clinton, she is ahead by 2 points over Trump in both of those polls. So in the one with Johnson and Stein, it's 46-44. The one without, it's 49-47. However, Trump is ahead without Johnson and Stein, according to LA Times, by 4 points. In Pennsylvania, Clinton's up by 2 or 3, depending on the poll. In Colorado, she's up by 1. In Virginia, she's up by 8. And let's see, in Maine, and I'm only saying this because these are the latest polls from today.
Maine is different because you can split the
electoral votes.
The electoral votes. So.
Yeah. But my point is that Trump could obviously win. Still.
Yeah.
And here's getting back to your point. I do not give him the credit. I do not think he's smart enough to give him the credit to say that his intentions were completely different months and months ago, a year ago, about running for office, and it just sort of happened by accident. I do not give him that credit. Besides, this man has man has an ego the size of the Trump Tower to compensate for his tiny hands. And so
hashtag tiny hands.
Indeed. And so by the way, the Madame Tussauds Wax Museum, actually, they have a wax figure of Trump, and they did an outline of his hand.
Are they really that small?
They're pretty small.
Really?
Well, if the wax figure at the museum is any indication, they're actually kind of small.
That's funny.
Then again, my hands are like fucking...
your hands are huge, dude.
So that's what I'm saying.
You have hands like the rock biter from fucking Neverending Story, man.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So maybe it's a bad comparison because mine are like grossly, weirdly.
They're like a bushel of bananas.
Indeed, and I'm not a large guy. I mean, I might be a little wide, but I'm not large.
I think you look magnificent.
Well, anyway, forget the hands. So, I don't know. I mean, the guy his ego. I think he honestly thinks that he is exactly where he thought he was going to be from the beginning.
I disagree, man. I don't think he even thought for a second that he was going to get through the primaries. I thought that he thought that Jeb Bush was going to win, and he was going to be like, fuck it, this is a way to grow my brand. You know, I'm the guy who brought up the birther issue. I'm the guy who's been trying to, discredit all of the work that Barack Obama has been doing. I think that he wanted to build his brand, the Trump brand, and then he just kind of stumbled into this.
I couldn't disagree more. I think he's not that strategic.
No, I don't think it was strategic either.
Well, I mean the brand, like this. I really don't give him credit for being like, you know what, this is just a.
Do you really think when he launched his candidacy for president, when he, came down that escalator and he said that Hispanics are rapists and murderers? Do you really think he thought that he could be where he is now?
Absolutely. So
No way.
As big as his ego is, he has such a narrow view of the world in the same way that his ego is huge. Yeah. And I totally believe that he thinks that he thought then he would be exactly where he is now.
Really?
Yes.
That's fucking crazy, dude. You are crazy.
No, I might be crazy. Trump is definitely crazy. And you know what? I don't know. Like, I'm afraid for Secretary Clinton in this debate because she is going to be she's just being held to a standard that, in my opinion, is impossible to reach.
She can do it, though. I believe that she can do it. I think that if she maintains her composure and she doesn't take any bait, and the cool thing is she's doing little things here and there to get under Trump's skin. I mean, just recently on Twitter, if you can follow us on Twitter at Poly Happy Hour.
P-O-L-I.
P-O-L-I.
Not Poly, like many. Yeah. Like many happy hours. Anyways,
I saw on Twitter that Mark Cuban is going to be on the front row. He accepted an invitation from the Hillary Clinton campaign to be in the front row, and that's just to piss off Trump, dude. They hate each other.
That's
interesting. And it's just little mind games, little things like that to just get under his skin.
Very strategic. So, okay, fine. But aside from all that, what does her strategy need to be? I think that she doesn't need to goat him, and she doesn't need to. She doesn't need to try and get under his skin on the stage. No. I think that if she goes in there and she just says the facts. She just lays out policy.
Yeah. I think, you're right.
And if she sticks to what she's good at, which is just, saying what it is. If she treats this like, do you remember when she went before the House committee with respect to...
fucking Benghazi.
Benghazi. Yeah. If she maintains her composure and sort of treats this like that...
And that was 11 fucking hours.
Yes.
She can do that for 11 hours. She can do this for an hour and a half.
I agree. But I think that she should just lay it out as it is and just show the American people or explain to the American people what her plan is or her plans might be, and then... Don't get into any sort of tit for tat with Trump. No. I don't think she should do that.
If he comes at her, she needs to respond because that's going to show weakness. She needs to respond to whatever if he's aggressive towards her, she needs to come out and show that she can respond back. She can fire back. He's never done a one-on-one debate. She's gone up against the best. Barack Obama. She went up against Bernie Sanders.
Yes.
So she knows what she's doing in these one-on-one debates. He doesn't. He had 15, 16 other people on the stage. I mean, he had Chris Christie going after Marco Rubio during the primaries, and he shut that little boy down. But I mean, he's not used to having to do it all himself. And I think that's what's going to be the big undoing.
I think that she should definitely respond with competence. But I do not think she should respond with emotion. I do not think she needs to engage in an emotional exchange because it is fruitless to do that with Trump.
Right.
So I agree with you that she should respond accordingly if she's challenged with facts. But I don't think she needs to engage in any sort of heated discussion with him. Well, she should just stick to what she does best, which is just explain things. She's an explainer. I mean, and sure, that's boring. People don't like that. That's not exciting.
Yeah.
But that's the key to beating Trump, I think.
I think so, too. I was actually watching Meet the Press this morning with our friend Chuck Todd.
Fuck you, Chuck Todd.
And he had mentioned that his campaign manager had come out on another Sunday morning show, and said that Jennifer Flowers will not come up in the debate. Meaning, the personal issues with Bill Clinton and things like that will not come up. And so they're setting this expectation, but if she can cast that line and goad him into,
attacking her personally.
And then, like his Twitter rants, if she can get him to go off on one of those things, it's done, dude. She'll win. She'll get him on not only on substance, but on his incapacity to be able to maintain composure when he's faced with something challenging.
I think that if during the debate, in her opening statement, her closing statement, and during the duration of the debate, if she doesn't engage in anything personally, I think that works to her benefit. I think that even if Trump does show signs that he's emotionally
he's unstable, dude. He's unstable.
Okay, if he shows that during the debate, I don't think she mentions it. I think that she just sticks to everything and makes it a debate of substance, sticking to the issues, and then afterwards, when she does the post-debate sort of speech or whatever, then she says, look, here we all saw what I've been saying for months, which is this man does not have the temperament to be president. If she says that during the debate, I think that works against her. I think she needs to wait to do that if he shows it at a later time.
Right.
What she can't do is what our friend Vice President Al Gore did. Oh my God. This again? Yeah. if she doesn't sigh heavily and roll her eyes and talk about a lockbox
and creating the internet,
yes, then I think she'll be totally okay. I think she totally needs to. She shouldn't, as much as she shouldn't talk about being emotionally reactive, she shouldn't visibly show that she's emotionally reactive.
So here's my prediction. I think that it's there's not going to be a clear winner in the first debate. I think that Donald Trump is going to be able to maintain his composure, and she's going to be able to be held to that higher standard that obviously she's going to be held to. But I don't think there's going to be a clear winner and decider. I think as things progress and as we get into further debates, I think Donald Trump is going to get more relaxed and he's going to show his true colors. And I think the second and third debates are definitely... I think they'll probably happen in the second debate, and then that will cascade and create a problem with the third debate where he will just throw up his hands and be like, I don't want to debate anymore.
Right.
Yeah. So that's my prediction.
I agree with you, but I agree with you with the outcome. Like, by the time the third debate comes around. I don't agree with the road to get there. Like, I think, honestly, that this first debate, she's going to lose. Because the bar is just set unfairly set way too high. I think that she's going to fall short just because she's going to get 99 out of 100, and people are going to see that as a failure.
Yeah.
And conversely, the bar is set so freaking low for Trump that it's like, again, as long as as his clothes don't fall off of him,
and his little tiny hands,
he'll be fine. So he'll win the first debate because essentially he's been set up to win the first debate by the Republican Party and by the media and Ted Cruz for that matter, who finally endorsed him. Speaking of which, before we move on, is Ted Cruz's
Raphael, you mean?
Is Ted Cruz's endorsement of Donald Trump this week sort of the last sort of nail in the coffin in terms of the Republican Party being like, you know what?
No.
Fuck it.
I don't think it is, because John Kasich is still like, no, and the Bushes are still like, no.
Ooh, watch out.
John Kasich is in the biggest swing state of the country. He's the governor of Ohio. That's a big deal.
And since when have the Bushes had any influence on political wins lately?
Well, I mean, George W. Bush was at the opening of the Smithsonian Museum this past week with and there's this cool picture going around of him and Michelle Obama actually embracing each other with a hug. So I mean, that stuff like that is like cool.
I like W much better not as a president than as a president.
As a finger painter
versus hey, some of that stuff's not bad actually. I mean, it's better than what I could do. But anyway. Well, I like him a lot more, like in his post-presidential glow.
Yeah, but he's not doing anything.
But he's not influential. That's my whole point.
No, because nobody wants to be associated with him.
So who cares if he doesn't endorse Trump? That's my point. Yeah. Who cares? Nobody cares. Yeah, anyway, I think Ted Cruz finally coming around this week.
No, what about John Kasich?
Dude,
John Kasich came out and he said, "Look, Trump came to me and he said that if I was his running mate, I could basically run the country. I will be running not only domestic, but foreign policy." And then he came back and said, "What are you going to do as president?" And he's like, "We'll find something for me to do. Don't worry about it." So he basically told John Kasich, "Be my running mate so you can run the country for me." Dude, I mean, John Kasich, and John Kasich came out in support of legislation that Barack Obama was trying to pass. I hate to say it, but John Kasich he's one of those. What was his name? The governor from Utah who ran a few years ago, who was trying to run against Barack Obama in the primaries. He reminds me of him, to where he was kind of a moderate and he was able to.
Brian Sandoval?
No. He was the ambassador to China under the Obama administration.
yes. Brian Sandoval's the governor of Nevada. Sorry, not Utah. Yeah. I know who you're talking about, John somebody. Yes, I know who you're talking about.
So he reminds me of that moderate. I mean, I certainly don't agree with John Kasich's stance on women's rights as far as reproductive rights and things like that. But I mean, he's that rational Republican. He's that, and he's that base. he's the base. He's not the far right crazy guy. You know what I mean? And the fact that he's still sticking to his guns and he's not going to endorse Trump, I think it means something.
You make some really good points there with respect to Governor Kasich and Ohio. Here's my opinion on Ohio, though. This presidential election is so weird and so unpredictable and so unlike any other presidential election that we've seen in probably the history of the United States that I honestly think that Trump might be the first ever Republican presidential candidate to win Ohio and lose the election. Because that's how weird it is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And, I just... Kasich has some influence, but he has great influence. So far, he's demonstrated his influence in just Ohio.
Right. But that's a big deal.
That's what. Getting back to what I said, though, I honestly think Trump could win Ohio and lose the election. Here's why. Because there are a lot of red states who will go blue because these people in these red states really hate Trump. And the ones that I'm talking about... Utah is a huge one.
John Huntsman, that's his name.
Oh, very good.
Fucking ball sack.
Very good. Utah... Iowa went to Barack Obama, of course, once, maybe not twice.
Definitely in the 2012 election it did.
I think, let's see, some other Republican strongholds that are up for grabs. Georgia. I think that with enough of these traditionally Republican states that don't carry necessarily a ton of electoral votes, I think that if Clinton wins enough of those, then one major swing state like Ohio or Pennsylvania is sort of negated.
Yeah.
So that's why it's great that Kasich is influential. However, he's only influential in Ohio. So.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's a valid point. I agree with you.
So, okay, are we going to live tweet the debate tomorrow night?
Yeah, let's try and live tweet it.
Okay.
So if you guys are interested in doing some some banter back and forth with us.
Yeah, follow us on @
Is it on @
No, follow us at Polly, P-O-L-I, Happy Hour on Twitter. Tomorrow night, we're both going to live tweet the debate.
Yeah, so we'll just tag it, hashtag VL for Victor Longoria, and then hashtag DL for David Longoria.
Yeah,
so you know who exactly is saying what. You're going to, obviously, if you know who we are and you've been following the show, you're going to know what the fuck I'm saying versus what Dave is saying.
Yeah, so basically, all the tweets that say, like, John Kasich's amazing, and I fucking love him, are going to be from Victor. And then all the tweets that are like, dude, George W. Bush has no say in what happens anymore, and I really love him as in his post-presidential career, that's obviously going to be me. So, okay, anyway, let's...
live tweet it.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
shit, that means I'm going to get this show out before the debate tomorrow.
Indeed. So have fun with that. Yeah. I'm going to be busy working on the website and on the Facebook page.
Yeah, I'm sure you will be.
Okay, so let's drink another beer.
Second beer.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Okay, so our second beer today is the Brett Saison from Wanderlust Brewing Company from Flagstaff, Arizona. So this is a Saison that is brewed with Brettanomyces, which...
What the fuck is that?
Brettanomyces is a non-spore-forming genus of yeast in the family Saccharomycetaceae.
It sounds like something out of Last of Us or something, where it takes over people's minds and zombie apocalypse.
Colloquially, it is often referred to as Brett, just Brett, so hence Brett Saison. So what is this? So what is Brett?
To drink it.
What is Brett? Brett is a strain of yeast that basically mimics the souring process for beers. So when I say mimics, it basically makes a beer sour without the whole process, the long process of what is really traditional wild yeast souring. So they add the Brett in the kettle at the time while it's brewing. And basically, they can get an instantaneous sour as opposed to something they have to wait for a long time. Yes. So, kettle souring is very popular among a lot of breweries right now. Most of the sour beers that you get that are very in vogue right now are going to be kettle soured with the addition of Brett. This is one of them, and so it's a saison, so it's going to have that spice, but it's also going to have a tinge of sourness. So let's open it up, shall we? Got a growler of it here.
So, speaking of Last of Us, did you ever see that or listen to that NPR report where that fungus actually will attach itself to a ant and control it? It attaches itself to its brain.
I think that was like on Radiolab, wasn't it?
Was it?
I don't know. But anyway, what about it?
Yeah, so the fungus like takes over the brain of the ant and makes it do its bidding. So
Really?
I hope that's not what happens when we drink this.
I don't think that will happen. Ooh, it's got a nice spicy cinnamon-like aroma to it, actually.
I love cinnamon. Wow, that's good.
Yeah, isn't it? So this actually drinks a lot more like a saison. Yeah, not a wine. It drinks more like a saison than it does a sour. There's only a tinge of sourness in it, of tartness. I think it's very well balanced. This is almost like a cider, actually.
Why are you looking at me like that? I love ciders.
No, ciders are delicious. I know they're your favorites. The finish on this is, I don't know. Can't quite put my finger on it. It's sort of vegetal-y.
Is that a word?
It is.
You just made that shit up.
No, that is a word.
So check this out.
I get like pear, like apple.
Almost.
Yeah.
Some sort of fruit.
Interesting. Really good though.
Yeah.
Not really a sour. More of a saison than a sour. Which I like because I'm not a huge fan of kettle soured beers. I really like traditionally soured beers. But anyway,
cool.
Not bad, right?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
It's good.
Thanks again to our good friends at Wanderlust Brewing Company in Flagstaff.
Beers for the journey.
Indeed. Yes. So they do some really good stuff. The wheat wine was delicious. The Brett saison is good.
That's good stuff.
Visit them on their Facebook page and drink their beer. It's delicious.
So before we get into the second story, here's a little tidbit that I think our friend John would enjoy. The documents that were originally supposed to be kept secret until 2029 with regard to the John F. Kennedy assassination, they're going to be released in October of 2017.
Oh, well, that's cool.
Yeah, so Oliver Stone and all of you conspiracy theorists can get together and discuss how there's a magic bullet and how Magneto killed JFK.
Don't you suppose the fact that they're being released 12 years ahead of schedule suggests that there's not really anything new that we're going to learn from it?
Yeah, it was the smoking man who killed her.
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, hey, you know what? Give us your best conspiracy theories with respect.
That would be amazing.
Please write in your best conspiracy theories with respect to this election this year.
Lizard Lady, because Hillary Clinton, she didn't have time to reboot her battery. She didn't really have pneumonia. She's a robot. So she was like running on low battery power. On top of that, Taylor Swift is actually a clone of a well-known Satanist. Look it up. Saw it on the Reddit.
Dude, that is crazy. You read it, guys. I swear to God. Okay, you actually, now that we're on the subject, and I didn't think we were going to go here, but I'm surprised we didn't, actually. You had this weird theory about Hillary Clinton swooning because of pneumonia a couple weeks ago, that was conjured up. That was to draw attention away from another issue that was dogging her that same week, which was the she made the basket of deplorables.
Oh, the basket of deplorables.
Which, by the way,
which nobody is talking about.
Which is hilarious because I mean that just goes to show you how boring Hillary Clinton is. Who says that?
Yeah.
That is like that your mom says that or your grandma says that.
Well, I think it's likened to Mitt Romney's 41% or 47%, wasn't it?
Which is not, I mean...
But I think that she saw... Yeah, you're right. I did have like a little conspiracy theory that she did see that as, oh shit, I stepped in it. And she's like, let's pretend I was sick.
Dude.
Because if you watch Between Two Ferns with Zach Galifianakis...
She's still very ill. She's very ill.
She filmed that while the same day she was diagnosed with having pneumonia, but she looks fine. I'm telling you, man. She just did it to be like, okay, what can I do? Oh, right. everyone thinks I'm sick and I'm ghastly, so let's go with that. And then
that's terrible.
Where did the stories turn? They automatically went away from their focus on basket of deplorables to Hillary Clinton's health. And now she's fine.
I don't buy it. But
amazingly,
on the off chance that anybody from the Hillary Clinton campaign might be listening to the show, don't ever have her say anything remotely that ridiculous ever again. That is so really? That's like the worst you can do. That's like seriously. I'm sorry, it was just a stupid thing to say. But anyway,
right,
okay.
Let's talk about Massachusetts.
Oh yes, and let's talk about more serious things. Let's face it, and which is funny. The irony of the fact that we're moving on to more quote-unquote more serious things than the election of our president is sad and not far from the truth, though. So this week in Massachusetts, the Supreme Court there in the state ruled that just because a black suspect flees law enforcement officials doesn't necessarily mean that he or she is guilty. And so there's it's
not an indication of guilt.
Indeed, right? Yes. That is essentially what they ruled. So the Supreme Judicial Court in Massachusetts held unanimously that a black male in Boston, when approached by the police, quote, might just as easily be motivated by the desire to avoid the recurring indignity of being racially profiled as by the desire to hide criminal activity, unquote. So I have mixed feelings about this. This is both sad and understandable. And here's what I mean by that.
How's that mixed feelings? That's pretty much the same thing, right?
Well, I mean, maybe, but the fact that the highest court in the state of Massachusetts,
Taxachusetts, I believe,
basically has to make a determination that black people are disproportionately stopped by its own police forces throughout the state, to the point that they actually have to make a ruling about that essentially says that because they're discriminately targeted, and we have the data that shows this, that if they run, they sort of have a reason to, because they're being unfairly profiled. They're being unfairly persecuted. Then what? Again, it's 2016, right?
Yep.
We're like more than 100 years from Uncle Tom's Cabin and
the Emancipation Proclamation.
Yes,
Lincoln.
Dude,
civil rights, over 50 years from the civil rights movement. I mean, it took a decade for them to open up that museum on the Smithsonian.
It took a decade. It took like 150 years.
I mean, just from the time that George W. Bush signed into law.
Okay. I see. All right. Yeah. Like, you know, why are... It's sad that we have to lean on the judicial system to make these kind of determinations. Mm-hmm. It's sad that the reason why they have to make these kind of determinations are because we still have profiling to the degree that we do.
Well,
but at the same time, okay, all right, we get it, because they are being racially profiled.
Yeah.
Like, that's a normal thing.
I know. Well, racism is alive and well in the United States. I mean, if you look at what happened with the Trump campaign manager in Ohio. She came out and she said racism didn't exist before Barack Obama was president of the United States.
Oh, my God.
Not only that, but on top of that, and...
By the way, what you're referring to is that the Mahoning County, Ohio chair for Donald Trump's campaign basically said last week that racism is a new thing.
It's new.
Thanks to Barack Obama's presidency.
Right. So,
who was promptly booted. To the Trump campaign credit, she resigned. Oh, so they didn't fire her.
They didn't fire her.
Okay.
Okay, so, and I'm going to point something out here that it doesn't reflect my view of this person's personal work, because I think that this individual's work is shit. I think that he's never made a good film in his life, and he sucks. But Will Smith recently came out and said that...
I Am Legend is a really good movie.
Shut the fuck up.
It is.
No, it isn't.
I love I Am Legend.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just saying.
And so was iRobot, Independence Day.
No, okay, no.
You love Independence Day.
Ali's not bad.
Ali isn't bad. You're right.
So, come on.
Okay.
All right.
Anyways, he came out and said that racism isn't back. It's just being videotaped. And that put into perspective a lot of things. Just this past week, I was listening to a This American Life show where they talked about the segregation of schools in America. And my son and I, Sebastian, 13 years old, we sat there and we listened to these parents come out and say at this town hall meeting where these schools were going to be integrated. The school was going to be integrated, and the families came out and they said, "Are you going to put metal detectors in the school? Are you going to put drug sniffing dogs in the school?" I mean, these people that you normally wouldn't think are racist, they have these racial biases in their minds, and it's fucking sad, dude. It brought a tear to my eye. It literally made me almost want to cry because of the fact that you have to see, you don't really see what's going on as being a black person in America, and it's sad, man. It sucks.
Essentially, if you're not a black person in this country, you have no idea what it's like to be unfairly profiled by law enforcement officials. And there's an enormous amount of truth in a lot of what you said and a lot of what...
Of course there is. I'm always right.
And a lot of what Will Smith alluded to. It's not... Racism isn't new. It's just we have new ways of recording it and new ways of documenting it.
Yeah.
One of the things that really bugs me about this whole thing in Massachusetts, I mean, in a way it's a good thing, right? But why? Like, it's great that they came to this conclusion, but it's fucking sad that they came to this conclusion.
I know, right?
The court pointed to statistics in a recent Boston Police Department report that revealed that, quote, black men in the city of Boston were more likely to be targeted for police-civilian encounters such as stops, frisks, searches, like observations, and interrogations. Hey, police forces across the country, how about you just stop stopping black people because they're black?
Yeah.
Like, just do that.
Yeah. So
and we won't have as much of a problem.
And it goes back to, I mean, just and I don't think people realize what they're doing when they do it. I had a conversation with one of my colleagues a few days ago, and his brother is a police officer who's training to become a police officer in Oakland. And I was like, wow, Oakland, that's really, that's kind of it's notorious for a high crime rate and what have you. And he's like, no, actually it's kind of better. There's not so many black people out there anymore. It's more Hispanics. So they're more our people. And when he said that, I looked at him like, what the fuck did you just say? I mean, I didn't want to say anything because, I didn't want to make him feel awkward or anything. But the fact that he was like, no, it's more Latinos than Hispanics now. Or Latinos versus black people now. It's more our people. It just made me realize, Jesus Christ, there's so much racism still in the United States. It's unfucking believable. Right?
We can get very philosophical about this and about how, from an emotional standpoint, it's the fear of the quote-unquote other, the person who looks different from you.
Yeah.
And sure, maybe that has always existed in humanity and will always persist for generations to come. However, we are all intermingled. And at one time, this country celebrated its diversity to the point that we were even willing to call ourselves a big melting pot. And that was like a point of pride.
Yeah.
And now we have like these camps. We have silos. We are getting away from celebrating the patchwork that is this country and more sort of just accepting the fact that different segments of the population are different and we should just like deal with that. And while I, to a certain degree, agree with that, what happened?
I don't know.
Why are we not celebrating our diversity the way we used to? Maybe we didn't. Maybe that's naive of me to say that. Maybe we didn't.
It's just the way people are raised. When people don't realize that they are racist. I mean, if you take a look, and this is kind of bleeding into our third story with Charlotte, but if you take a look at what happened in Tulsa, where the gentleman was, gunned down in the street simply for his car breaking down, the helicopter shot, the video of the helicopter shot and the audio, you see one of the guys in the helicopter say, "That looks like a bad dude." Why does he look like a bad dude? Because he's black?
Yeah.
And because he's big? What the fuck, dude?
Yeah,
that is awful. And I think that goes back to training. I don't think that these people, these police officers, are inherently racist. I think that it doesn't. And the training isn't there.
There's something also. I agree with that, but there's also something ingrained within sort of societal norms, without a lack of a better word, that trigger us to think that something looks normal as opposed to not, and that something has a bit to do with how a person appears, which is largely based in color,
right.
And that's not right.
Yeah, and to your point, also, I think that when I was talking with Sebastian about this, about racism and how if police officers didn't spend their time in the inner cities or the urban areas, and they went out into the suburbs and they found, they would find just as many people with marijuana or illegal drugs. Miguel, my oldest son, his first exposure to marijuana was from a white kid in the suburbs who lived up the street.
Yeah, there's no question about that, and arguably, to your point, that there actually might be more predilection to.
Look at that! You're using your. I'm going to break out my thesaurus because I have no idea what you just said.
To sort of contraband in the suburbs versus the inner cities, so yes, I agree with that. You know what? It just boggles my mind, and maybe it's just because maybe I'm naive, and maybe I just don't know any better. But seriously, I know a lot of black people. I see them as black people because they're black. I can see that. Does that color, pardon the pun, does that color my opinion of them?
Colorblind.
No. But why does it with people in power?
I know.
Arguably the most important people that we rely on day to day to protect us. Why is that forming their opinions about where these people come from?
Yeah.
Do they know something we don't?
Yeah, I don't think so, because like I said, if they were to monitor the suburbs and they would find just as much drugs, just like on Wall Street. If you go and you frisk a guy on Wall Street, chances are you're going to find some cocaine. But the penalty for having powder cocaine versus crack rock there's a huge disparity there. So it's not fair. And I know that it sounds like I'm preaching to the choir, but the racism is alive and well in the United States, and
it sucks. It totally sucks.
And that goes into our second story. Our final story,
yes,
right?
Of course, in Charlotte, as I'm sure all of you know, videos released just this weekend by the Charlotte police regarding the fatal encounter between Keith Scott and officers do little to answer some of the most important questions about this shooting. So, the police chief in Charlotte, Mecklenburg, Kerr Putney, has said
I believe he's African American as well, right? Isn't he? I think so.
Okay. I honestly don't know. So he said as much about that, that there are little conclusions or additional conclusions have been drawn just by the release of the videos. But authorities have said that a black officer shot Scott, who was black, and when he made a threatening move with a gun. So on yesterday, police released photos of a pistol and ankle holster recovered at the scene.
Yeah, but those are just I could go on Google and pull up a picture of an ankle holster and a pistol.
Well, I know, not to say that I don't necessarily trust or buy the reports or the accounts that the police are making. Surely they have a whole slew of weapons that they've confiscated and that they could just take and say, "Look, here's the gun."
So basically, what you're saying is they planted it.
No. Scott's family says he had no gun. He was reading a book and he was being non-aggressive when police were surrounding him. But neither the police dash cam or the body camera footage from police in Charlotte show that Scott was pointing a gun at police officers. So
they showed that the police dash cam or the body camera footage showed that he had his hands to his side. regardless of what he had in his hands, there's something in his hands, but they don't know what it is.
So the point here,
but
though,
he
is
wasn't
that
being aggressive, and he was backing away from them.
So the point here, though, is that he was obviously not being confrontational.
No, he wasn't.
And these new videos are inconclusive. They don't tell us anything new about anything.
Well, the videos were in limited release, so they didn't show the entire portion of it. And I think that was done purposefully by the Charlotte Police Department.
Yeah, this
shows some transparency. I mean, the shitty thing is that there's a new law going into effect on the 1st of October that it keeps video footage from being able to be publicly released. So that's why there was such a big uproar in getting these tapes released before the 1st of October, because once the 1st passed, they don't have to, legally.
Yeah. This continues to be a problem.
It is.
In many, many cities throughout the country.
You're right, but in the flip side of it, and the thing that's not being reported, is the good work that's being done in police forces where they're making it more transparent. Like in Dallas, where the training is much more extensive. In Dallas, the reddest of red cities,
right?
Their police force training is much more restrictive, I guess, where they're not going to be, it's not shoot to kill, you know what I mean?
Right.
In Washington this past weekend, where that gentleman went into the mall at Macy's and he gunned down 5 people, that he was apprehended today without a shot being fired. So, there are police who are using their training in a positive way, but that's not being brought to light. They're not showing that these things can be done without bloodshed or death.
But I agree with you completely. Yes, there's been some really good work being done by police forces all around the country. Very respectable work, very responsible work, very responsive work being done by a variety of police departments. However, this is a problem. Yeah. And it's probably been a problem for a very long time. And to your point earlier about what Will Smith said,
fuck that guy.
Now we're just being able to document it in a different way that's more widely spread. And then, of course, with the advent of the internet and social media, this is getting disseminated at a level that is unprecedented. So...
Okay, so wait, to your point, Ali was pretty good.
Okay. So was I Am Legend. I'm gonna say
I Am Legend was. But okay. So this is where my geekness comes out. It wasn't. It wasn't. It didn't follow the graphic novel.
Okay, fine.
So that's my problem.
My only beef with the movie, and I don't know the graphic novel as well as you do. My only beef with the movie is it didn't flash back enough. It didn't talk about why we got to the point where we were at.
Oh, right.
Okay,
yeah.
Enough.
Yeah.
Like the whole Emma Thompson thing, right?
Yeah. That didn't, where it was a cure for cancer.
Right. They didn't talk about that. Anyway, okay. But aside from that, we have a problem in this country.
Hashtag I Am Legend.
Right. Black dudes are getting shot by police for seemingly
being black.
For
being black.
For no good. Well, I was going to say no good reason, but being black is no good reason to get shot. Let's face it.
Yeah. And recently, I actually heard somebody who commented that the biggest, the worst offense in the United States right now is disrespecting a police officer. So if you disrespect a police officer, you're likely to be killed.
Oh my goodness! And regardless of your color?
Yeah, regardless of what color you are. You're going to get killed, right? So is it power? Is it just? I
think you said it best.
Are these police officers able to shoot them in the fucking leg, take a knee out, or something?
I honestly think. Well, that also goes to your point that you said earlier. It's a lack of training. It's lack of consistent training that is going into how we deal with seemingly routine stops.
Yeah.
And you know what?
But there are police forces out there who are doing the adequate training, and they're not getting the...
Yes, but they're not going to get...
They're not getting the attention they deserve for doing the right thing.
Why should they when the bad outweighs the good here, though?
Yeah, but I think it goes back to your point with Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump. The bar is set at a different level than it should be. You know what I mean?
Well, yes and no. I really honestly think that the fact that then in some places people of color are being unfairly profiled and shot at, we should set the bar higher.
Right, yeah, like in New York City with stop and frisk and with Blasio getting rid of that policy.
This is an instance in which some people should be held to a higher standard because lives are at stake.
I agree, but going back to that, you can't be disproportionate to the standard that's being held. So if you're going to hold that higher standard to states in the South, you're going to have to hold that higher standard to Massachusetts and Washington, these real liberal states as well. So, I mean, that's one of the reasons why the Voters' Right Act was gutted by the Supreme Court.
Okay,
right?
Okay, sure. Now, I see what you're saying, but to that exact point, though...
Make it universal, right?
But you can't, because law enforcement's never been a universal policy in this country. And that goes back to what I was saying earlier about diversity, how we're sort of this patchwork.
Yeah.
I went on this harangue about, stupid stuff.
Again with your vocabulary. Let me hold on a second while I look up harangue on the thesaurus.
My point is that as much as we are a patchwork of diversity in this country, we are a patchwork of the way that we do law enforcement. Because law enforcement is largely done at the state and at the local level. It's not a federal system.
There's no police force for the federal system.
Indeed. There's no federal police system. And I stand by that. There shouldn't be. I really honestly think there shouldn't be. But we have to, because of the fact that it is sort of dispersed among the states and localities, that we have to accept the fact that it's going to be different in Charlotte than it is in Tulsa, than it is anywhere else in the country. Mm-hmm. And we have to sort of respect that. But at the same time, there needs to be general norms or general standards with respect to the way that we treat people in general. And I think, if anything, if we could implement some sort of universal policy, it needs to do with profiling. Profiling cannot be acceptable across the board. Yeah. For race, for religion, for gender, for sexual orientation, something needs to be done. If something is to be done at the federal level, it has to do with who we can and can't discriminate against. I thought the Civil Rights Act covered that stuff.
Yeah. But, okay, so how are you going to do that, though? I mean, just to give an example, my oldest, Miguel, if you look at him, he's the whitest of white people on the planet, right? But when he says his name is Miguel, he has actually come up and said...
Oh, eyebrows are raised.
Yeah, exactly. So, when he tells them, my name is Miguel, people, look at him kind of wait, you're, white. Why is your name Miguel? You know what I mean? So, I mean, how are you going to extract that automatic thought of profiling from somebody when it's kind of inherent? You know what I mean?
Yeah. How do you
walk away from that? How do you back away from that?
Yeah. How do you enforce what is already ingrained in our minds about our prejudices? Dude, this is why it's not an easy issue to deal with.
That's not, and it goes back to.
But at least we can. We should codify it. Though.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't pull over somebody because he's black.
Right.
Don't shoot somebody because he's black. Now, no police force in the country is going to say that's why we did it.
Right. Of course.
But we kind of all know why they did it.
Yeah. It goes back to the guy in the helicopter in Tulsa where he's like, that looks like a bad dude. Why does he look like a bad dude? Because he's black.
Do you think the media is perpetuating this?
I don't know.
To a certain degree, I think they are.
I think so, maybe. And not only the media, but the entertainment industry as well. Right? Because, I mean, when you look at things like movies and you go all the way back to True Lies, I think that's 20 years old. The Crimson Jihad. And, you're gonna hire these Middle Eastern actors to portray these type of folks. I mean, isn't that profiling as well? Right?
Well,
I mean, it goes deeper and deeper. The more you look at it,
when lives
deeper you go, right?
When lives are at stake, it becomes a completely different issue, and that's what we need to start avoiding.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I agree, and I think that there's a long way to go, rather. But
we keep bringing up the issue of race on the show. Well, I shouldn't say we keep doing it. We've done it a couple of times to no avail. Like, we have no kind of... Like, we're just two dudes who are like...
Drinking beer.
Fucking but every time we bring it up, it's like, oh, shit, we're no closer to, like, trying to, like, figure out... the end game here.
Yeah, and sometimes when I think about it, and I find myself, profiling people on the fly, just in my normal day-to-day life. So I mean, it's not something that can go away immediately, but I think it's just something that you need to work on, and it goes back to training. I think, especially with law enforcement.
Yeah. I think that there are two things that are really important with respect to our discussion. The first is, local authorities need to be properly trained on how to deal with these scenarios. The second thing is, if we're going to do a big policy change writ large, it needs to deal with the fact that we cannot profile. We have to put an end, and we have to place serious consequences and serious penalties on local law enforcement officials who, by all accounts, seem to be profiling certain populations.
Well, I mean, and they're not being held accountable. I think
because there are no rules against it. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So, okay.
I mean, so the shooter in Tulsa, she was charged with the manslaughter charge, and that
the officer.
Yeah, the officer who did shoot that individual.
I'm sure it has nothing to do with the fact that she was a woman, right? Sorry, dude. I take issue with that. That is a whole other problem. But come on, interestingly enough, the police officer who is being tried, out of how many cases have we had? How many police officers are being investigated or being charged? She's a woman, and she's probably that is going to be used against her.
Right.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay. So that is, but at the same time, none of these police officers. If you look at what happened with Tamir Rice in Cleveland, I mean that was a young boy, 12-year-old boy, had a BB gun. The police pull up and shoot him within 3 seconds of pulling up into the scene. So nobody was held accountable for that. I think that's the biggest thing, is that when people look at this, they don't see any repercussions for these officers who are doing these atrocities. There's no one's being held accountable.
Right, because there are no standards in place. That's my whole point. There needs to be standards put in place by which law enforcement officials can be held accountable. Because until that happens, much to your point that you talked about earlier, until that happens, we're not going to be able to talk about the good things that people are doing in law enforcement that prevent this stuff.
Yeah.
Because they're making the rules for themselves at the local level.
Right. And not only that, but I mean, we can go case by case by case. I mean, you look at what happened to Eric Gardner in New York City. They had it on film where the guy was actually shown being choking, and nothing happened. As a matter of fact, the guy who shot the film was arrested for an unrelated charge.
Part of the problem is that if you have 50 different instances about this very same thing occurring, you're going to have 50 different viewpoints.
Yeah.
And that's right. Yes. Yeah. And that's sort of part of the beauty of the diversity of this country, and the fact that we have like local rule, local governance.
But also it's a detriment, right?
Yes. That's exactly my point. Okay. So we will continue to follow this story as we do all of our stories, folks. We will continue to have this discussion. We invite you to join in on this discussion with us and tell us your thoughts. Please email us at politicalhappyhour@gmail.com. Write us, tweet us, post your opinions and thoughts. This is a really complicated issue, and we don't contend that we have any solutions, but we want to keep the...
Clearly, we don't have any...
No, I'm fucking clueless as far as this goes. But we want to keep the...
It's a good thing we're not in charge.
No joke. But we want to keep the conversation going because we think it's important to have. So that does it. That's another...
episode 15, right?
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
right?
It's all right.
Yeah, high five to that. Okay, thanks for joining us again, folks. The show was conceived, written, produced, and edited by us, but mostly me, let's face it. I'm the mastermind behind all of this.
Yeah, good job.
And it was recorded in Arizona.
The theme music was written and produced and done by Electronic.
So the opinions expressed on this show are solely that of our own, unless they are yours.
You can combine opinion and express opinions.
Yes.
Very special thanks to Wanderlust Brewing in Flagstaff for today's delicious brews. Beers for the journey.
Please follow the show on Twitter @PolyHappyHour, Instagram @PoliticalHappyHour, the Facebook, and now...
That's right.
YouTube.
Fuck yeah. Not only YouTube, but we opened up our Patreon.
That's right. We now have a Patreon account. Please visit patreon.com/politicalhappyhour and lend us $1 or $2.
Yeah.
Or 10,000.
Or 50,000.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I mean, why not?
Why not? Also, please download, subscribe, share, and most motherfucking importantly, rate this show. Wherever you get your podcast, please rate us so that we can get more traffic and get more people in on the discussion to talk about the events of the Political Happy Hour and the stories that are affecting all of our lives.
Once again, please email politicalhappyhour@gmail.com and visit politicalhappyhour.com.
Wait.
It exists.
Yeah, it's there.
Technically, it exists. Like the ether, the cloud exists. But we don't see it.
Yeah, there's nothing there.
We can't go there.
It exists, but there's nothing there. Good times. All right, so you have been listening to the Political Happy Hour, production of Lagoria Media.
We approve this podcast.
But today I am still just a bill.
You mean even if the whole Congress says you should be a law, the president can still say no?
Yes, that's called a veto. If the president vetoes me, I have to go back to Congress and they vote on me again, and by that time you're so
By that time, it's very unlikely that you become a law. It's not easy to become a law, is it?
No, but how I hope and pray that I will. But today I am still just a bill.
He signed your bill. Now you're a law.
Oh, yes.
Wow, that went a little long.
I know, dude. But we always go long when we take a break.
Yeah, I know.
It was
125.
Oh, that's not that bad.
Like
yeah. 115.
115.
Yeah. That's actually not that bad. We went like 2 hours once. And you were only able to cut it to like 140.
It sucked.
I know.
Because we had so much good stuff. We didn't bring up like Colin Kaepernick or anything. We need to bring that up.
Next week?
Yeah.
We can still do it. It's still news.
And Kim Kardashian. I know.
And let's not.
You're a big fan of.
All right. Let's not do that.
You love Kim Kardashian.
I don't know what you're talking about.